Everyone's building AI tools right now. The interesting question isn't whether you can build one, it's knowing when you should build one. Email volume in your inbox represents real operational friction that slows you down and sucks your time. Yet, it's very important and you have to do it and you have to do it right. Quick story. When I came back from vacation, my inbox had over 500 messages. And the prospect of replying to all those messages was absolutely daunting. I had been thinking for a while of somehow automating or streamlining my email inbox and my replying to people, but up until then, I hadn't really figured out a good way to do it. And I had tried a number of various tools that work with Gmail that supposedly, using AI, look at your patterns, look at the way that you reply, look at how you label things in your inbox, and learn those patterns, and then help to apply them for you and essentially wind up taking over and streamlining your inbox and making it more efficient. In reality, what I found is that these paid tools, by the way, did not really do as good of a job as I had hoped. They didn't quite hit the mark. What I really needed and what I think most people need is something that is bespoke. I needed something that solved my particular problems, organized things in my particular fashion, replied in my tone, or at least drafted the replies, and allowed me to go from the person who's generating the activity, who's generating the replies, who's doing the organization of the inbox, to the person who's doing the approval, the training and approval of those activities and letting AI do the heavy lifting. It's been about 60 days since I launched this local app. I call it my Gmail triage app. And to date, it has processed over 5,000 emails in my inbox. It has diverted almost 3,000 emails from my inbox that I didn't want to see, and otherwise performed the organization of my Gmail inbox in the same way that I would do personally if I were doing it myself manually. The estimated time saved just from implementing this very, very simple app is over 35 hours of my time. The truth is, most of the emails that make it to your inbox are not emails that you need to see. And what they do is they fragment your already strained attention, and they consume even more of it so that you have less and less energy and less attention left to focus on the things that matter and the things that move the needle in your business. Yet, you have to answer important emails in your inbox, make sure they don't get overlooked, answer them with the proper care and attention, and at the same time, ignore the stuff that doesn't matter. There's just so much garbage in there, and it just doesn't make sense to go through and to try to manually stop it at the source. You're never going to stop it at the source because a lot of the email that you receive is probably unsolicited in the form of cold email. See, what most busy people intuitively understand but don't act accordingly is that time is not really the thing that needs to be managed. What you really need to manage is the quantity and, even more importantly, the quality of your attention. We tend to act as if attention is infinite, but in fact, it's extremely finite and very susceptible to being fragmented. This is a phenomenon that I first learned about when I read Tony Schwartz's great book, The Power of Full Engagement, in which he talks about a phenomenon called continuous partial attention. And it's this idea that the more things you look at and the more things you try to do simultaneously, i.e. multitasking, the more the quality of your attention suffers, and therefore your results suffer. And email, to me, is enemy number one because it masquerades under the banner of importance and urgency. In reality, few things are truly, truly urgent, and the majority of what goes into your inbox, you probably just archive anyway. So what we want to do is we want to remove all of the noise of your email inbox and leave only the signal, so that when you do get into your inbox, you do it in a batch, you come in, you clean it up, write your replies, and you're out and back doing the things that actually move your business forward. You may be thinking, why do I need to build an AI app? Why did you build an AI app? There are commercially available tools. You just pay a few bucks per month and they'll handle everything for you, right? The issue isn't that these tools are bad, and I'm sure they work well for some people. The issue is that they're not bespoke and catered to your specific preferences, workflow, style of speech, guardrails, etc. In short, they don't fit your specific needs. So this leaves a gap. Commercial tools optimize for the average user by definition. If your filtering logic, priority rules, or response patterns are specific enough, then close enough is still a lot of friction for you. So how do we solve this problem? Well, we apply the concept of this email triage app to your individual situation by training the app on your emails, on your replies, on your categories, and by essentially telling the app, so to speak, how to manage your inbox as if you were the one managing it. And what we do is we use our microphone, ideally, and we use a voice-to-text app. There are free ones and there are some good paid ones. I use Almond. You can use Whisperflow. There are a lot of them out there. And you explain to AI how you want it to categorize things, why it should categorize things a certain way, certain phrases to look out for, certain senders to look out for, how to identify cold emails. And what the AI then does is it builds a set of rules and guardrails that allows it to very, very accurately determine, based on the training that you provided it, where incoming emails should be routed. Should they hit your inbox, or should they skip your inbox and be archived and labeled a certain way? And if they do hit your inbox, should it draft a reply for you to review, maybe edit, and potentially send? Once we've trained the AI on a large enough sample of your emails, and fair warning, this could take you an hour or two, the accuracy is going to go up tremendously, up to, in my case, 98, 99%, such that it rarely gets anything wrong, and my email inbox is perpetually pristine. Now, why are we using this architecture? Well, the nice thing about this app is it costs virtually $0 to run, because most of the rules are deterministic, meaning they're hard-coded. They're not using AI tokens to try to figure out how to classify the email. However, for some edge cases where the rules are ambiguous, or you want to draft an email reply, it will use your AI tokens, but it will use such a small amount of tokens that it will still cost you pennies per month. Now, the cost to me is near zero, but the return on investment is very, very high depending on how you model your ROI. So looking here, we can see that we have an estimated modeled ROI based on 5,000 emails processed to date. And you can see we have some pretty impressive numbers, 2,636% return on investment. And how do we arrive at these numbers? The way that I modeled ROI is I had AI do research on the phenomena of attention fragmentation, deep work, how email in particular impacts these factors, and build a model with parameters that I can slide up and down that take into account my handling time per email, time invested building this tool, and my hourly rate. Now, as you can see, these sliders go up and down, so you can change the model based on your particular situation and your particular numbers. But based on this model, and I feel those numbers are pretty conservative, this is the result that we have. So now the way it works is I have a run history, and these are all the emails that are being processed. And you could see that we have a confidence score, and we have actions that we can take, and we have the action that the AI took in this case. Now, if I want to flag this and say, hey, you actually misclassified that, I'll say, okay, this actually was a cold outreach email. And then I'll do my voice to text, and I'll explain to the AI why this is a cold outreach email and not whatever it classified it as previously, and explain to it the details of how what it should look for to appropriately classify this in the future. And once I hit submit, those rules will be automatically updated. And next time around, it's going to classify it correctly based on what I just explained. And the great thing is you can actually do a dry run. You don't need to test your rules and test how well you trained the app on your actual current new emails that come through to your inbox. You could do a dry run where you pull in emails as they come through, and the app tells you how it would have categorized and how it would have replied to your particular emails without actually having done so. And in that way, once you're confident that the app is doing what you want it to do, you could switch it on and it'll start working. I was so satisfied and so impressed with how much time and attention it was saving me that I wanted to make it available to all of my team members. But of course, my entire team has different requirements. They have a different type of inbox, different rules, different labels. And so they needed to be able to train the email triage app in their way. So what we did is we put this app inside of our operating system, which we call MemberFix OS, and we productionized the app such that every team member could use it directly from the cloud without having to run anything locally. And the way that it works is we come in here, we connect our Gmail account, and now we begin the process of training the app on the emails in our inbox. And you can see it's a wizard style format where we essentially have our email. We look at the categories that exist. We can add new categories. And again, we can speak into this box. We have a little microphone icon here and explain to the AI how it should categorize this and why, or what it should and should not do with this email in particular and this type of email in general. Now, if any of these tools had done exactly what I needed in the way that I needed it, I probably would have just paid for them. But the beauty of AI is that it allows us to create tools that are custom made exactly for us, that are bespoke to our workflows and our preferences. So the big takeaway is that MemberFix does more than just set up, develop, and maintain WordPress sites. We partner with our clients to discover their real business problems and solve operational friction with bespoke, seamless solutions. Sometimes that could be something very simple like an automation. Sometimes it's a custom AI portal or a custom AI reporting dashboard. The point is, we don't take a one-size-fits-all approach to solving our clients' problems. And it always gets us excited when we see how delighted our clients are when we show them something they didn't even conceive. The skill is identifying problems in collaboration with a client, listening, and then using our brains to figure out which problems are worth solving and what impact that solution would have on the business holistically, and then solving those problems with the exact precision that that business and that situation demands. So can you build AI tools? Sure, anyone with ChatGPT or Claude Code can build their own AI tools these days. But should you? Well, unless you're actually a developer yourself or a technical professional, I would err on the side of not doing it yourself. Remember that AI is still a how, and you need the right who understands the fundamental principles of whatever area we're working in, whether it's design or copywriting or development or whatever, to be able to use that how effectively to get a high quality output. And if you're experiencing various types of friction in your business, or you'd like to have a chat with me and talk about what's going on in your business, what you spend time on, where you leak revenue, where you're maybe losing leads, losing clients, let's have a chat. Let me see how I can help you identify some of these gaps and potentially fix those issues for you in a very precise, seamless, intelligent, permanent way. I'm Vic, and I'll see you on the next one.